Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to Coffee and a Mic. We'd like to thank our sponsors, SRP and EPCOR, and Sidewalk Coffee and Bagel. And of course, today we are lucky enough to be joined by County Supervisor Mike Goodman. Mike, thanks for being here.
Kind of staged that way. It has applause back here in the background, I guess. I don't get that at home, so it's kind of fun.
There we go. Since you were last here, Supervisor Goodman, we've had a lot of changes in Pinal County, or at least in our part of the world, with the incorporation of Santan Valley. So long-term project finally coming to fruition.
Yeah.
How's that going, and particularly from the county side of things?
You know, I think it's going very well. I'm grateful that we had the opportunity to choose the 7 individuals. That was a pretty lengthy process. We had like 87 applications that applied for the position. So
Town council member,
sorry about that. Yeah, so our task was to appoint the first 7 for the town council. So we worked through that process last year. I think by September was the deadline. We needed to have it done so that they could start doing their processes and get everything together, kind of get organized so that July 1st, it's their baby. And quite honestly, we've been treating it as if it's their baby from day one. Once they were organized and ready to move forward, we've always been working together with them. Any of the decisions that have been made in that particular area, even though it's fallen to the county supervisors, we've tried to seek the counsel from the new town council, and it just so happens that their mayor is also on our planning and zoning committee, so that helps substantially quite a bit. And Darren's been on that now for probably 5 or 6 years now. So that all worked out really well. And once that was all done, just recently they've made some hires, and I think strategically they were very methodical about it, and I really like the individuals that they've have hired. A lot of it is because they've been working with me. They've actually hired them from the county, and those individuals have been working through with me in conjunction with Santan Valley, trying to help move it in that direction and start the planning process several years ago to move it in a direction that if it didn't become incorporated, we would still be set up as a county to be able to handle the needs of the community there. So it was it's been a great transition over to these individuals. They've hired Brent Billingsley to be their town manager. Brent brings experience not only as a town manager, but he was also our county community development director for 3 or 4 years. And so that was a good call on their part. They have the individual that they have over community development as the director is a gentleman by the name of Gilbert Ogle. Did I say that right? Ogie. Okay. I always slaughter his name, so forgive me. I apologize. But Gilbert has worked with us on the planning area. He was the lead planner for the county. For the county. Yeah. So a lot of these conversations that we've had as far as the needs of the community, the needs that I don't know how to put it, but we've neglected the needs over the years, even before I even came in. There was entitlements that were given to a lot of the properties there, and those entitlements locked the county in as long as they made no changes. So there was no time frame on years or anything else as to those entitlements that those properties had. So if an individual bought a piece of property, got the entitlements on it, then what would happen is, as long as they didn't make changes, there was nothing we could do about it. And so
talking about the land use categories.
The land use. So when people talk about the amount of homes and things of that nature that have been built out there, those are entitlements that were given to these individuals long before, probably 2 supervisors ago before me.
And I think that was one of the concerns that we had, and we've talked about this here many times. It was about getting employment centers and job opportunities, things like that, something that you were working on before the incorporation. And so now, is there space for that kind of infrastructure and employment opportunities?
You bet. I think the things that really kind of helped move the needle was when LG came to this area. Pinal County, along with actually Queen Creek, and along with us, and I want to put Queen Creek first in that because they've been a big driving force. They were the ones that the state went to have that land annexed into your guys' city, because you could deliver on the services that were necessary in order to develop that property. You were the most likely to be able to provide sewer and water. Those are the two main things that a lot of these developments look at. And so that was kind of a natural transition for the state land department to go into Queen Creek, and that ultimately brought LG. And then working with us, coming to us and asking us to help with a lot of the things that took place, because we border the area. We've done a lot of these type of projects in other cities in our county. Casa Grande. What we did over there with Lucid Motors and helping that all move forward was kind of a way that we got our feet wet on how to do this. And so coming over here, that was kind of a natural transition for us to work with the town of Queen Creek to make that happen. So that's a game changer, because Queen Creek gave them some entitlements through the process that area right there is now an industrial area. There's going to be a lot of things that's going to take place in that particular region. That set the stage whenever the incorporation effort began this last time. State Land Department was a little bit hesitant. Do we want our property in a brand new city? Will they be able to accommodate the things that we need? So one of their concerns was having some entitlements on their particular properties that is within the boundaries of Santan Valley, of the new municipality. And so in conjunction with us and the new Santan Valley, but they weren't even formed yet, we were able to give some entitlements on about 3,600 acres, which is kind of the core area right there in the general area of Post and Butte High School. And all that particular land now has entitlements to it. So as infrastructure and everything has helped build around that particular area, we're going to see some improvements. And it had the entitlements. It does have commercial. It has retail to it. It has high density as far as apartment complexes attached to it. It has housing. 3,600 acres is a lot of land.
It's a big area.
It's a big land swipe. But over the last few years, looking at the landscape there, and particularly that area right there where I used to farm, with Skyline, the connection, the county has taken it on itself. We will finish up a lot of the road projects that we started. We're obligated to do that. So we are going to begin construction at the end of this month that will connect Skyline to Gansel Road. The thing that we would like to see, I personally would like to see, now it's in the hands of the new municipality, I would like to see what you guys have done over here in Queen Creek. When you refigured the loop and you took Ellsworth Road and looped it and you put it underneath the railroad tracks, that was a game changer for you guys. It changed the landscape of everything to where you were no longer a bed and breakfast.
It's hard to explain to the new people what a difference it makes being able to bypass the railroad like that.
Well, it brought commerce here. Mm-hmm. That's a fact. Over the last, 10 years, you've really seen a major improvement. I think you're almost built out in that area. Now, over by the Costco area and everything that's taken place there, there's a lot of things that's happening. Advantage to you guys, but disadvantage to the people in Santan Valley is the tax dollars that has left Pinal County and come over and transitioned over into Maricopa County. And so that needs to be reversed if they're going to really make it. Let's be real. Cities, the only way they can function is through the tax dollars that are generated. So with that new entitlements that was given on that particular area, the discussion has been, and is getting closer to becoming a reality, is putting an extension over Gansel and the railroad tracks and connecting Skyline all the way through. With our plans to work with Queen Creek and the other municipalities, the expressway, I call it the Pinal County, the CAP Expressway, but it will actually come off, and that's the intent, that's what we're planning on, that's what we're working on, is to take off from the 24 and follow the CAP on the west side and follow it all the way and get it all the way down to Arizona Farms Road. Now, we've done a lot of things working with the state. Most of that is state land. And so there's a lot of things and discussions with the state land to make sure that those properties are preserved so that we can move forward in that direction. That's going to help bring traffic, the heavy traffic that's already on Schneff Road. Good heavens, Gansel, Ironwood, and then you've got Queen Creek. And even Meridian now is just taking on a large load of traffic.
So would this be the freeway, or would this be the Pinal Parkway?
Probably you know what? They could call it Mayor Wheatley Parkway. I don't give a rib. Let's just get it done, right? That's the bottom line.
I think we could get support for that.
Well, I said that because she's sitting right here, and hopefully I want to get the buy-in. They are actually big supporters of this, the Queen Creek. And even Apache Junction sees the value of these type of things and how that's going to help drive, my fellow Supervisor Surdy, him and I are big advocates of making sure that the 24 goes all the way and extends to the 60. That is going to be a game changer for all of us. We're getting noticed a lot in the county. And a lot of it has to do with the big projects that have already come, LG and Lucid, and then the other major manufacturers that have come into this area, especially down in the Casa Grande area. So we're going to see I would say in the next 2 to 3 years, we're going to see some major things happening. My biggest goal when I came into this office was the infrastructure was number one. And that ranged from water and sewer all the way to roads and infrastructure that way. Retail is dependent on location, location, location. And I'm a firm believer in that. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why we haven't been able to bring out this direction some of the big box stores. We've got the population to do it. It's there. The numbers are there. Why do you think Home Depot came in? And now Winco. And now there's several other big box outfits that are looking to come out into that area right there. And many of those are, and one of your questions that you asked is how is the transition going? What does that look like for businesses coming into the area? Let me give you an example. There is a project right now, a big box project that's coming to this area. And we were approached by the new city council, which was their leadership. And as we sat down together, they proposed to us, we know what the ordinances and everything the county has. Let us do all the work behind the scenes. These guys are getting paid. Let us do the reviews and everything else. Get it all ready, set, and then we can give it to your lead planner. They look it over, but then it's going to go back to the city council when they're elected, which is coming up real soon, and they will be the ones to make the final decision on what that's going to be. That will never go to the Board of Supervisors. And that is a perfect example of the transition that's been taking place.
Being able to give them that kind of support, yes, and work together.
Yes. And the value of what they did as far as hiring, the strategic hiring of those individuals that already were familiar with not only the region and the area, but the needs. And then the processes in place too. And so they've got a good transition. I forgot to mention, they hired, and some of my board members are not happy about this one, is Chris Wanamaker. Chris is our head engineer. That guy has been phenomenal. He's worked with all the cities throughout our county in conjunction with all the roads and the connectivities and everything else. And he has done a great, great job. Well, they hired him from out from under us. I'm happy. Why?
County has to rebuild, though.
Exactly. But I'm happy because this guy's been a part of all this process. He understands the needs. He knows what needs to be done. And they had a council meeting here a couple weeks ago, and he laid it all out. And it's not very pleasant, but he laid it all out there. This is where you're at. And one of the council members says, boy, that is bleak. And then he just said, what's our options? And Chris looked at him and says, well, the good news is we have some options for you. We're going to come back in another meeting and we'll present all your different options. So he's been thinking about these options. That overpass is one in particular. He's been a part of that discussion. He's been a part of even the designing and everything of that one. And then even on the expressway, the 24. That's the value that Chris Wanamaker brings. So that was a very, very smart hire.
Yeah, getting all of that experience of people that have been looking at these problems for a long time rather than trying to come in, wrap their arms around it. But I think one of the things that we're talking about is being able to set up employment and retail now to Queen Creek's east that will pull from part of Santan Valley, but also Florence and some from Apache Junction, I would expect, and really creating a new area for people to go to. So we don't have as much east to west traffic or even north and south traffic. It'll stay sort of contained right there.
Yeah, you know, it is amazing that, you know, I was born and raised in Arizona, in East Mesa, and as far as the growth, and we used to come out here all the time. In fact, the property that I used to farm, that's where we would come out and pick the peaches and the grapes and everything else, and it was always fun to come out here and do the things. And I've got great friends that I grew up with that live out in this area, and it's pretty cool to be now back here for the last several years and watching things progress to the level they are, and even be a part of that. It's pretty cool.
I would imagine.
It's pretty cool. You know, we get a lot of heat about stuff, and people are mad about things, but you know, when you look back and you look at the entire landscape and you look at, gosh, I did make some difference. That's rewarding. That's rewarding.
Well, the planning stage that you've been a part of is a pretty unusual stage for a person's career. So, because you got to help with all of it before it was even here. So, everything that's come and then everything that we have in the works.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we thank you for your leadership on that, and it must be something to watch.
Well, I was selfish in all of this. I mean, most people know that my family is one of the tops in my book, and we have a lot of our family that live out here. So, and I get it a lot on Sundays when they come over to the house about complaining about the roads and infrastructure, even before I took the job. And how much easier it'd be if they didn't have to travel so far to go to work, or if they had better roads and things of that nature. And that's what motivated me to get into this in the first place.
Exactly. And I like to think, though, about how far, like you said, how far we've come, and I have to tell all of the people that have only come in the last few years, I was like, well, you should have seen it when it was one lane or nothing but stop signs and things like that. But
we've been in some meetings where that's come up and been a hot topic, and it's interesting because other people that have been out here since 2012, I was talking to one gentleman earlier that's been out here since 2012. He was part of the issue of having to travel so far. Not part of the problem. He was just stuck in that stage. I've got kids that went through that, but we have come a long ways, and there is a lot more we got to do, that we need to do. Funding is probably the biggest problem that we have as municipalities and entities, the county. We have to stay within a budget. We can't go over that budget. We're required to balance the budget, and then also meet the needs and the demands of the future things. And so there's got to be some strategic things. There's got to be partnerships. And that's been the beauty of the partnership that we've had with Apache Junction, with the town of Queen Creek, with the town of Florence, with Maricopa, the city of Maricopa, and Casa Grande, and Coolidge, and I said that right, didn't I, Mayor Farland? And,
Yes, you did.
and Eloy. And so we've worked with all of these different communities trying to improve the county as a whole. And I think, you know, when you walk into a situation, it's a storm. And it's a whirlwind when you walk into this whenever the growth has been taken off so fast. And now you've got to help meet the demands of not only what's the past has been like, but now for the future. And that is an extremely tough situation. And that's why you need good key individuals that know this stuff. And that's where I get a lot of hope with the new with the new Santan Valley and the people that they've hired. These guys know what's been done. They know the past, they know the current, and they know where they need to go with the future.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be crucial to the success, because there's not many places, in fact, I don't know that there's any other place where such a large area of unincorporated county has suddenly become a municipality, and now you got to get up and running. So
Yeah.
they're going to be really reliant on having the right people to do that. And with that line, just to make sure we have the right impression, the county will continue to help, and this is a slower transition, right? Not on July 1, you just turn the roads and everything over and say good luck.
So that's probably a big concern for people. Where does the county fit into the mix of all of this? Well, we've already been in the mix. We've already been working with the new municipality, just like we have with all of our cities. We've been going through the process now for probably, before they even became a Santan Valley, we were already in the process of doing things. They've hired the right people that were in that process. So that's number one. Second thing is that we will follow their direction. They're in the driver's seat now. It's no longer us anymore. We will have to finish up our obligations, but they are working on IGAs with our Sheriff's Department right now for police services. They've been talking to Rural Metro to be able to provide some form of blanket fire protection. And then the Parks and Recreation, there's been some discussions with us and with the new municipality and with CAC College on what that could look like, and with even some of the schools and the charter schools. So those things that was probably one of the biggest things. But you know what was interesting? They did a town hall meeting, and they invited all the citizens, and they did a questionnaire. And one of the things, they had a list of priorities, what needed to be done first, and put them in priorities. And they had things like roads, infrastructure, they had parks and recreation, they had several different things, public libraries, do they need to be bigger, stuff like that. The number one thing, and we've got a large family size, 3.2, the number one thing that they put down was roads. Number one. So the people get it. They get it. With the roads, the proper roads, everything else will fall into place. And Queen Creek has been a good example of that. When they built that center right there, what they were able to do, that was a destination point for the citizens around to come here to Queen Creek, to purchase things, to buy things. I can only imagine what your sales tax has been like, but you were methodically put it together to where you've been able to draw from all that. Now, you guys have grown to a substantial amount, and now the industries are seeing and being able to come out there. When I talk about industry, the retailers are starting to come out that way, and things are going to start to happen. They already have been. Home Depot, the first year they were there, they anticipated about $45 million in revenue. They doubled that in 9 months. They doubled it in 9 months. So they were hungry. People out there are hungry for that kind of stuff. The thing that we all can't wait for is the sit-down restaurants where you pay after you eat. That's what we're all waiting for. And so those are coming with that development right there around the Winco. They've got a couple, 3 sit-down restaurants. There's one there already and a couple of other ones, but they've got 2 or 3 more that's coming into that specific area. So a lot of cool things that are happening. We've got a lot of attention now that's taken place. We're getting a lot of national attention. You know, we've had 85% of our residents that have left our area to go to work. That's reduced probably to 75%, something like that, because of, well, it'll probably be reduced a lot more because once LG opens, what is the date? October? Production, Mayor?
Into the year, beginning of next year sometime.
Okay, all right. Well, either way, that's going to be a big game changer, and it's already bringing attention to what's going on here. So get that all reversed to where our people aren't having to use the road and go into other areas, but they could stay here. That also means at lunchtime, where are they going to go?
Right.
That kind of stuff. And when they go home, they're driving right past the Safeway, the Fry's, and the Walmarts. And they stop, wife calls, and I get some groceries. They're not coming from Mesa or that area. They can stop right there on the way home. And so that's all, I'm excited to see it happen.
It changes quality of life. And then
by far, that's the number
employment
one.
centers are good for all of us. So
Yeah.
As the business community gets bigger and stronger, and we attract more of those national or international employers, that's good. But along those lines of limiting factors, and I
Let's
think,
get right to it. Let's talk about
number
let's
one
talk
in
about the
Pinal County
negatives.
is water.
Yep.
So how is the county set for water, and how does all of this growth play into that?
You know, we've been very fortunate in that aspect. We've got really sharp individuals that understand the water and the sewer business. I didn't realize that until when I first came into office and we had our issues with our local sewer and water business. But whenever I was able to pull from and glean from the leadership here in this particular in Queen Creek with Paul Gardner, Paul was, Paul and I were great friends. We've been friends since we were since I was married. He was still single, but I was a brand new newlywed. We played ball together and stuff like that. But so Paul, when I first moved back here, and then I was starting to take that on, I got a phone call from him, and he said, "Boy, good luck on this one. This is gonna be a challenging." And he, because of some strategic things that we were able to do, we were able to get him to come in and testify. And he was subpoenaed, and so he couldn't disclose certain things about stuff because Queen Creek had looked at buying it, but he could talk about the deficiencies. That was legit. And without him and his knowledge about the deficiencies, I don't believe we'd ever got as far as we did.
And that certainly helped bringing in EPCOR to
By
service
far.
the area. That was a game changer for all of the people in Santan Valley.
You know, speaking of that, the one thing is Paul and I were talk about this stuff. I learned more about crap than I'll ever want to know in my life. And the processes of it too.
You mean that literally?
I
yes.
do. I probably used a different word when I've said it. But, you know, the thing to look at and consider was all the water that Johnson used all those years. It was never clean enough to put back in to recharge our systems. Never. Never. You look at how many households he served, and they never were able to do that because it just wasn't clean enough. And who knows what he did? Well, some of us know. But nonetheless, since EPCOR's coming in, since they've came in, the amount of dollars and everything that they've had to expend, that's spent out there, and to bring that up to the par, to the level to where now they recharge. And I can't tell you the amount that they actually are able to recharge. That's a game changer for us in this particular region. And now they're working in conjunction with Queen Creek to even improve it that much more to where it's becoming a regional system. And that's been what's been needed all along, is some type of partnerships to be able to look at that. EPCOR and Queen Creek worked through some connection in the very beginning of all this mess, and they've stayed with that. And they've been working together strongly. And I'm telling you, and EPCOR is our provider in Santan Valley area and in Florence. And so I think our communities right there is probably their largest amount that they have in the state of Arizona. And it might even be bigger than that, I don't know. But nonetheless, because of their expertise and understanding of all of this, now they're able to recharge that back into the system, number one, okay? When our governor came out a few years ago and said we were a water shortage, we all know that day. I got a phone call from Chris Dobson. He said, we got to change this. He's always heard me say, if we don't tell our story, somebody else is going to do that. He said, we need to get you up in the air. So
from SRP.
SRP.
One of our water.
Yes.
Our main.
And our power company. And he provided a way for me to get up in the air. We took our videographer and we went through all the basins and flew up through there. We've done that a couple times now. They even took up our new councils to show them and let them know this is what we have available. This is what we're doing. This is what we've been doing for years. This is not new to us in Arizona. Let's be real. We all know we live in a desert.
I love when I get the calls from out-of-state reporters and they act as if we didn't know.
Yeah. Well, but good heavens, we moved. You know, my ancestors are ones that came here and settled parts of this country, this area. And there's a story that was often said about when a group that was sent here first, they got here part way and they were out completely of water. They kneeled down, they said a prayer, water came, they filled their water jugs and they went back to Utah. When they went back to Utah, Brigham Young knew another gentleman and said, what would you have done? And he said, I'd have prayed, filled my water, and we'd have kept going on. And then when we ran out again, we'd have prayed again and we'd have kept going on. And he sent him to come and do that. And that, honestly, that's what we need more of, is that kind of faith. We need to rely on the good Lord above. Now, he requires us to do our part as well, right? Well, the state of Arizona, out of all the 7 basins here, all the 7 states that are in this water basin, we are the only ones that have taken extensive measures to preserve and conserve our water. When times have been lean, we've built these recharge systems to put back into the ground that comes off of the Colorado River, off of the CAP. In addition to that, I already mentioned one of them, the recharge systems that we have. Queen Creek is doing a phenomenal job. EPCOR is doing a phenomenal job. And the other entities that are around here that are doing doing water and sewer, they're doing their job. We're also looking at things that are going to bring additional water supply. We know we're going to get cut back from the Colorado River. We know that, but we've been preparing for that. People do not know that.
So Pinal County was known for ag, and a lot of that was Colorado River coming through the canal system. And then back during, it was around COVID time, there was a big switch, push to move it to groundwater. And now you're saying that you're diversifying from there as well.
Do you know how much water is actually going from EPCOR to some of the farmers that are currently farming? A lot. That's the recharge. Okay, Florence has some recharge that is going, and I think that's EPCOR as well. Florence has their own facility, but between the 2 facilities in Florence, the water's been treated enough that it can be actually put back into recharge. The farmers are using it. Other communities are doing that. They've been doing that for some time, but that doesn't get talked about.
Right.
All gets talked about is we're pumping the water out and to fill our, take care of the farming operations, and that's not all true. Now there are some areas where they don't have those type of treatment facilities. I look at over here the agreement between Queen Creek and Mesa and Gilbert, right there off of Germain Road.
The treatment facility.
Yes, and do you know where that water goes from? The reclaimed water goes over to the reservation, and they use that on those farms that are over there producing. Our county, over the years, we've had, I think it's been about $40 billion in revenue that's come off of our farming operations. 40% of all milk products comes from Pinal County.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot. It used to be Maricopa County, but they've all moved out to the...
They've all been pushed
Yeah,
to
well,
Pinal.
you know, that pushed out. No, they sold their land. They made enough money that they could go out there, buy all that land free and clear, and build a brand new facility, up to date. So don't feel so bad about those farmers,
no.
okay? But you feel bad because they're up 24/7,
Right.
tending to the cows and stuff like that. But the bottom, or irrigating and things, but nonetheless, 40% of our milk products comes from here. That's huge. And we're talking yogurt, we're talking cottage cheese, that's the byproduct of milk itself. So there's a lot of things that this county has provided for years. And we'll still be able to continue in that process using the technology of today to be able to do that. So, yeah, I'm not worried about the water situation because I know that when it comes said and done, like my ancestors, get on my knees. He's the one that's in control of all of this. I'm not. But I will do my part to conserve it.
And we have our good people doing their best to make sure there's a plan and that it's in place and that we're getting that recharge.
Yeah, you know, SRP, you know, what we were talking about SRP, they've taken it on themselves to increase the capacity of Bartlett Dam in that area right there. And there's been a lot of discussions, you know, some people don't know it, but the Colorado, the CAP canal, actually goes underneath the Salt River at a certain point up off the Bush Highway. And there may be some possibilities of being able to transfer water around this area. And then we've got Agua Halo that's out further east that has a tremendous water supply in underground. And you know, it's going to be expensive and we're going to be paying for it, but the water's there and it's going to be available. So.
And yeah, that's the key. We can move water around. We've been planning for hundreds of years.
For it. Developers, it's been on their radar forever. These guys know that at some point they're going to have to bring, when they come in with the development, they're going to have to bring water with it. And so that's already been the discussions and all the efforts over the last, probably farther than I know. I mean, the CAP canal was discussed and talked about and started in 1963. So we've known we had to move water around, right? So we've been planning all this. So hopefully, you know, it's not as bleak as what some may want you to look at. Yeah, it's concerning, but we're ahead of the game.
Yeah, we always said plenty of water to use, none to waste. So. And I think that's the message that we have to get out more. So just like when those reporters call me from out of state in a panic because we're about to go dry.
Call SRP, they'll take them up in the air.
Right.
He offered that. So when we have any industry that comes here,
yes,
we'll take them up. We'll show them what we've got. What's available.
The helicopter tour of the watershed is pretty.
Hey, you bet. That's a game
interesting.
changer.
Yeah. We've covered a lot. We appreciate your time. Is there anything that we haven't gotten to that you wanted to bring up?
No, I think we've covered it. I would like to finish with, you know, I'm grateful for our local communities and the collaboration between all of us. It's very comforting to see that happen. And without each other, we're going to be nothing. We can't fight over this stuff. We have some challenges ahead of us. You know, the municipalities, that they're going to lose some HERF monies and that the new city's going to pick up. But I think with the new funds that they're going to get, they're going to be able to focus and concentrate on the regional roads that lead into their communities and help with that. More so because the millions of dollars that they're going to get, a large chunk is from the city of Phoenix and the other municipalities. Those dollars have been sent over to those other areas, and now it's going to be able to be used and focused here in this region. So I think that's the key point that all of us need to remember. It's only going to add value to all of us.
Yeah, as Santan Valley gets stronger, it just helps all of us.
You bet.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. Are there any questions from the audience that we didn't get to? Yes.
How can we work together to help expedite that Pinal?
You know,
Let's get out there
that's
today.
an excellent question, because our PRTA, the Pinal Transportation Authority, has kind of taken a pause. I don't think it's diminished, but I think it's taken a pause. And a big part of that is because each community as a whole has their own special needs. You've got Maricopa, City of Maricopa, that's way on the west side. They're on the east side, they're on the west side. I just keep looking at your hat and I'm thinking the east side. Anyway, whatever. So they're on the west side, and so their needs are not our needs. And so there was a decision made by all the PRTA members to kind of put it on pause. I think this is an advantage for the town of Queen Creek, Pinal County, Apache Junction, Florence, and the new municipality to band together, us as an entities, and band together and game plan, coming up with different options available as far as financing and things of that nature. Look at the overall aspect of what we can do. We've got a new municipality that is ripe for grants with 100,000 plus people. They have the ability that none of us have to seek some grants from the federal government that could help them in a major and a positive way, which ultimately will affect us all as a region. That is probably the number one thing that we ought to be having a discussion with. There's some particular thing, about, nobody wants to be landlocked as far as a municipality. They want to be able to expand whatever they want to expand, and so on and so forth. That's where everybody needs to come to the table, working together, and not worry about making it a dog-eat-dog world, but working together and collaborating together. What does a planning area look like? You got a new municipality right now that needs some help. They need to understand it better. Just like everybody else, we're in a unique position where we can actually collaborate much more effectively today than we've ever been. And now's the time to seize the moment. Now's the time and the opportunity for us to take it. There's a quote I always say, great moments are born from great opportunities. And that's what we got.
I like it. Well, again, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you being out here with us. County Supervisor Mike Goodman.
Love you guys.